Okay, wonderful. It looks like we've got most of our guests in here for this evening. Welcome, everybody. We are so excited to have you here for tonight's information session. Welcome you to the Faculty of the Engineering and Information Sciences here at the University of Wollongong. My name is Emily. I work here in the Student Recruitment Division at UOW, and I'll be your host this evening alongside a panel of experts from the faculty and a number of staff from our Future Students Division who are all here to share some insights about studying within this faculty at the university and give you the answers to any of the questions that you have about studying with UOW, about travelling to Australia, and all of the logistics and requirements around that. Before we get started, I would like to just check with you guys to see that you are ensuring that you're in the right place. So on screen now are a list of the programs that are relevant to this information session. So just have a look through and make sure that your course and your major area of study is listed on this page to ensure that you're in the correct session. If you don't see your course on this page, just pop a message into the Q&A box. So at the bottom of your screen, you have a menu. If you have questions or inquiries, we really encourage you to use that Q&A box to send them through to us, and we will answer those as quickly as we can. And that goes for all questions. So if it's about being in the correct session, or if you have a question about the courses around offers, around travelling to Australia, around life on campus, please pop those into the Q&A box that you've got at the bottom of your page. We will answer those as we go, so feel free to start putting your questions into that space now. We have lots of staff in the background that are available to answer those questions, and we'll also save some of those questions for at the end of the session where we'll have a Q&A and we'll answer some of those questions live, those ones that are relevant for everyone. So definitely get involved and share whatever questions you'd like to have answered as a part of this session. It's about you getting the information that you need. So a bit of an introduction. Today we have Senior Professor Gersel Alisi, the Executive Dean for the faculty. We also have Professor Christian Ritz, Associate Dean International. And we also have on our faculty panel, Rachel, Saran and Jin, who are going to be in the background answering your questions and will participate in the Q&A at the end, helping you get the answers that you need. So welcome to our faculty experts. I just wanted to give you, a little bit of information before we hand over. So these sessions are being recorded. You will be sent a link to the recording following this webinar. So anything that you want to revisit, anything that you feel like you may have missed, you'll be able to revisit all the content following the presentation, as well as a lot of the links and resources that we mentioned will be included in that email. Your microphone and video have been turned off. So like I said, use that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to ask your questions. The webinar will run for approximately an hour, finishing around 7 p.m. If we do have a lot of questions, we can stay on for a little bit longer to answer those. We also will get a record of all the questions that have been answered as a part of this process. And if there's anything that's gone unanswered, we'll have your details against those questions and can follow you up after the session with some responses. Some of the information that's been presented today might not be relevant if you're already living in Australia, but there is a lot of information that will be relevant. So just pick and take what you need. There is a lot to cover, so without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Gersel Alisi to give you some information about this faculty.
Thank you, Emily. I'm very happy and very excited as the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Engineering and Information Sciences to welcome all of you to various postgraduate degrees and PhD degrees. We are very excited to have you as one of our students. And we are looking forward to having you here in Australia, in Wollongong. As you can see, Wollongong in my background, and this background is specially made for you. And then I'm just showing it second time to our international students. We are coming to a faculty with a strong reputation in teaching and learning and research training next generation of world citizens. And our faculty has many partnerships with some top universities in the world. And our faculty disciplines, especially in engineering, in information sciences, computer science, In physics, I can see some students coming to study radiation physics. We are in top 83rd in engineering and in the top 200 in computer science and other degrees. We are also coming to a university which is in the top 1% in the world. We are highly motivated to support you to grow, to become successful citizens of the world. Do you know what? One of the strategic goals of our university is to empower our students to realize their career aspirations and dreams. And we are highly motivated and determined to help you to be all-rounders. The graduates who are aware of local and international problems and aware of different cultures and can work with different people and make some responsible decisions. So this is a new journey for you. Like I remember when I was a PhD student many years ago in England, I totally understand your feelings, your excitement, your nervousness, but it's all about being motivated and being determined and being excited. And we are excited as well, especially when we have you here in Wollongong. I think we will just complete the full family picture that is currently missing. That's very sad for us. And so I don't want to say more than this one. Please do enjoy your new journey. This is a new journey you are starting. And we are looking forward to meeting each of you in Wollongong and help you to realize your goals and dreams. I welcome you again and wish you best of luck. And please take care of yourself until hopefully we will join each other very soon. That's all from me, and enjoy the evening, enjoy this event, and we'll be very happy to answer any questions from you. To you, Emily.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we would like to share a little bit more of an overview of the faculty with you, and I'm going to hand over to Professor Christian Ritz to share all this information. Thanks, Christian.
Yeah, thank you, Emily. And welcome once again to everyone. I saw the numbers slowly creeping up as we were starting the session. It's great to see there's like over 130 students here now, which is fantastic. So as Emily said, I'm going to talk just a little bit more about the faculty. There's plenty of time to answer questions. I can see lots of questions coming through already answered, and we'll have more time later as well. But I guess the first thing to talk about is why study with our faculty? Well, what we say is we want to combine your passion with purpose, and there's sort of four main points on this slide you can see. So industry recognition, making a difference, setting yourself up, and getting hands-on. Now, I think there's sort of four very important aspects of the faculty. So industry recognition is through accreditation. So the vast majority of our masters are professionally accredited by Engineers Australia or the Australian Computer Society. We have degrees that help to build your agile, relevant core skills for tomorrow's economy. In other words, future career planning with this degree is what you want to be thinking about. Setting yourself up. We're world leaders in sustainability. We have award-winning solar decathlon house that is one of the competitions. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And getting hands-on in terms of really those practical skills as well that you get to develop, particularly in our faculty and our university, where it's a very big part of the degree that you do. Next slide. Okay, so we just move to the next slide. Thank you. So just in terms of the University of Wollongong, there's a few numbers on this slide here, which just is a little quick snapshot really of the university. So we are a university with over 35,000 students at many campuses, a number of campuses in Australia, but also in particular, we have some major international campuses around the world as well. And in terms of international students, we have quite a large population of international students from over 184 nationalities of students have studied at our university. So what you'd find as an international student is you're always going to find many more people that are from your same home country, but you also get the chance to meet students from many other countries, including Australia. So really great experience, of course, coming here to study. We're very proud of our alumni with over 160,000 alumni around the world. And later I'll talk about a few alumni that are worth mentioning. In terms of our rankings, you can see here some of the rankings here specifically for engineering. Overall in engineering, we score in the top 100, 92nd in the world in this particular ranking, but actually we're ranked even higher, 83rd in the world in one of the other more recent global rankings. Within Australia, we rank very highly, actually 6th in Australia when you look at rankings for engineering. So ranking very well there. And in terms of New South Wales, we ranked 3rd in New South Wales. Particularly in this ranking is to do with the quality of learning and teaching, which is part of one of the Australian government ranking systems they use. Next slide. So just looking at some specific disciplines and subjects. So when we look inside some of those disciplines, in engineering, for example, we score very highly in the top 100 in the world, or even higher ranked in some disciplines. And you can see here, top 50 for mechanical engineering, top 75 material science, civil and structural, top 100. All of our engineering degrees are well within the top 150, but we also, in our computer science degrees, they're also ranking in the top 200 and increasing all the time. So what you can see is that if you come here, you're going to be learning from really top ranked academics and researchers in a world-class institution. Next slide, please. So another thing that's also worth pointing out is that many people will have heard of the Group of 8 universities. They're generally ranked as or known as the top 8 universities in Australia. But because of the University of Wollongong's strength in engineering, we are a member of the so-called Group of 8 Deans of Engineering and Associates. So there's only a very small number of universities that are part of the Associates group in addition to the Group of 8, and we are one of those. As I showed earlier, we ranked 6th in Australia in engineering, so we're well qualified to be in this group. And so that means that if you do engineering here, you are studying at a university that is very well regarded in Australia. Next slide. So in terms of our industry recognition, which I mentioned earlier, and I also mentioned that our engineering degrees and our computer science degrees, actually all of our degrees have some kind of professional accreditation. One of the things also with Engineers Australia is that they're a signatory of the Washington Accord. And what that means is that other countries around the world, they recognise the Australian or the University of Wollongong engineering qualification. And so that means if you go on to future employment in your home country or even in other countries, your degree will be recognised around the world. And similarly, that also goes for computer science degrees. They have a similar arrangement with other countries. Next slide. We also pride ourselves in the faculty on our industry links and our industry engagement. On this slide is just a snapshot of really some of the companies. There's probably many more companies. This is just some of the major companies that we are working with and have worked with in the past. These companies partner with us for research. They also partner with us in some areas to do with sponsoring students for some of the different prizes and things like that, but a lot of this is research linked and so on. We have also industry representatives that work closely with the faculty through our industry advisory committee. They also come from some of these different companies as well, and they really help to inform the design of our degrees so that it meets industry needs. Another exciting thing that the University of Wollongong has is something called iAccelerate, which is a startup incubator. And there aren't actually many of these in Australia or even around the world. There's not a lot of these. And our startup incubator at the University of Wollongong has been quite successful. These figures are up from 2019, where there were 192 different companies were supported. $57 million in revenue was directly attributed to these companies. 67 product launches, and interesting also 47%, so almost half of the founders of those companies were female, these are really good statistics here. So with our faculty, one of the things that we do is we work closely with UIW iAccelerate. We have some programs that students have gone and worked within iAccelerate. They've taken their ideas from projects and they developed those into little companies and things like that. So this is a really unique thing that we have. and you may get an opportunity even to work with them if you come here. So in terms of practical experience, so I should say that a number of these things here are relevant to students doing, say, master's coursework, but some of these things perhaps also apply to PhD. But just in terms of, first of all, coursework, work integrated learning is an important part. In our degree programs, such as the Master of Engineering, we have dedicated subjects that are designed to provide you with professional engineering experience. These subjects are designed to provide planning for your career, giving you an idea about Australian workplace experience. We also provide opportunities where we can and partner with our Central Career Service, which is very well, provides lots of services for students in terms of preparing for jobs, applying for jobs, things like that. I've already mentioned iAccelerate and opportunities there. Hands-on learning, there's lots of different laboratories. We have over 100 different engineering laboratories in our faculty, and these laboratories are used by undergraduate, postgraduate, and research students. This is one of the things I think we really pride ourselves on. The number of labs are very fantastic to actually develop your ideas in your research or in your projects, and work with actually technical staff to even build these concepts and develop some really exciting research outcomes. Next slide, please. Okay, thanks. Just a little delay in the network. So on this slide here, we have a slide just profiling some of our alumni. Now, as I mentioned, there's 160,000 or something alumni for UIW, so impossible to find all the top people that have graduated, but here's just 3 from our faculty that we thought we'd mention. We have a former computer engineering graduate who went on to work as a vice president for Google. We have a PhD student who did their Bachelor of Engineering and then went on to be a data scientist at Johnson & Johnson. And we have a Master of Computer Science or Master of Information and Communication Technology student who went on and worked as a very high profile role within Amazon. So this is just 3 examples. There are many others. If you have a look at some of these profiles, they've been profiled on some of our university websites. They've got really exciting stories. And so it shows the types of things that you might be able to achieve as a student if you come here. In terms of student activities, so this next slide will just show some of those. So these are just some of the extracurricular activities that students have got involved with. These tend to be undergraduate students, perhaps sometimes postgraduate students for some of these programs. We have our very successful UIW Motorsport program that's particularly attractive to undergraduate students in engineering. And this is where the students get to actually design, build, and then test in an actual competition, a race car. And it's been going for many years and it's been very successful in our faculty. We have some very good student societies. The Women in STEM Society, for example, is quite active. You can see a picture there on the top right, which is a picture of our solar decathlon house. That was a very major design project we're very proud of that involved engineering students and other students from other, and computer science students and even from other faculties, working together to design an energy efficient, sustainable house that was entered into an international competition. We've entered twice, we've won the first time and runners up the second time, so we're also very successful on the world stage with that. And the final couple of pictures there are just showing you a couple of the different student societies, and there are actually many, many different student societies on campus. And if you come to University of Wollongong, you'll no doubt find a student society or more, one or more, that really excites you, that you can join, meet other students from different countries and so on. So just in terms of some of the support that's offered to students, there are quite a lot of support. This slide here talks about one of the exciting mentor programs that have been developed in the faculty in recent times. This is where students are paired with an international student, or I should say a student mentor, who is someone that you get to meet with regularly. They meet in groups and you can have discussions about all sorts of aspects to do with your studies at the University of Wollongong. Give you some advice about where to find support, all sorts of things like that. They can give you advice on who else to talk to if you need to. There are lots of other places that you can get support, but with the peer mentoring program, we find that it is quite a good way for students to actually just talk to their peers, make friends, and so on. Next slide, please. In terms of some of the student support services, and I won't go through all of these, there are both personal type support services and academic. So the personal are things like student support advisors are key contacts for you if you have trouble with things like you're studying and there's a problem with your visa, you have a problem with something going on back home and you don't know what to do, you have a problem with financially, whatever that might be, they're often the first point of call. There is other people and groups on campus as well to help with things like counselling, campus health, and so on. In terms of academic and social, there's peer-assisted study sessions. These are study sessions run by students for students. There are, we have our award-winning library, which is very popular. The library is really a space not just for books these days, but it's really a place where students go to study together and learn in a really good environment. It's quite popular. Many clubs and societies, over 120. Free city bus, that's also worth mentioning. It's always a popular thing. If you need to go between the university campus in Wollongong and the centre of town, there's a free bus that you can do that. It goes very regularly and it's quite a very convenient service for students. Lots more information on this slide about career and academic support that you can see here. I mentioned our Career Central team earlier. This is a really good service for students. We know when students come to study here, they are looking to develop their career, maybe go on to future employment within Australia perhaps, and there's lots of different services that are available to you. And I really encourage you, when you come to Wollongong, to engage with these services early, talk to the careers service, find out what opportunities there are. There's lots of different workshops, jobs are advertised, career expos are held, and it's important early on to make those connections, get that advice so that you can really develop your career skills, if you like, or career goals, so that when you're graduating, you're ready to go on to, say, future employment. Next slide. And that's the end of my session. So thanks everyone for listening. I'll hand now back to Emily.
Thank you so much. There's some wonderful information in there. And it's great to hear about all the incredible things that are happening within that faculty and the things that students can get involved in once they come to study with us. Great way to obviously build skills, but it's a wonderful way to meet people from all different walks of life, make friends and make industry connections as well. Okay, so I'm going to run through nice and quickly so that we can get to a good chunk of Q&A at the end, some of the logistics around travelling to Australia and studying in 2022. So the next couple of slides will go through some of the information about the next steps, depending on where you're at in the process of applying to study, the process around visas and the things that you'll need pre-departure and some requirements around upon arrival as well. It's important to note that the information that we're providing in this presentation is current as of this week. And as you would be well aware, the situation can change depending on what is happening globally. So please make a point of saving websites like the one that are on screen now so that you can keep up to date with what's happening and what sort of public health orders are in place, both on a federal level here in Australia, but also on a state level too, because there are layers of different rules that we need to adhere to as a university. And this advice is coming from the government. So their websites are the best source. We have lots of information on our website as well, but for the source of truth, definitely head to those government websites and they'll be throughout the next slides as well for you to take note of, maybe taking a photo of it so that you have those to refer back to later as well. Okay. So the Australian government recently announced that, as of the 15th of December, fully vaccinated eligible visa holders, including international students, will be able to travel to Australia without a travel exemption. This date was moved slightly. It was the 1st of December, but the government wanted to allow some time to gather more information about the new variant before opening the borders to these eligible visa holders, but that date is quickly coming up. It still allows plenty of time for you to arrive in time and get organised before the commencement of your course. If you did plan to travel before the 15th of December, you would need to apply for a travel exemption, and that's quite an involved process. And you just need to refer to the Australian Department of Home Affairs website, where the instructions are to do that. But from the 15th of December onwards, you'll be able to travel into Australia without the need for a travel exemption. There are, though, some steps that you'll need to follow, and I'll go through those now. All right, wonderful. So in order to commence your course in 2022 here in Australia at UOW, you'll need to accept your offer to study at UOW. So most of the students that are on this webinar will be at that stage. They'll have their offer to study. Accepting the offer includes clearing any conditions that may have been on that offer and paying your deposit. Now, up until the 31st of December, you have the option of paying just a $5,000 deposit in order to obtain your confirmation of enrolment, and then paying the remainder of those fees at census date next year. That offer is up until the 31st of December. It may be extended. We're yet to see, so just keep that in mind when you're figuring out what your next steps are. Once you have your confirmation of enrolment, you're able to secure a student visa and then purchase your overseas health cover. We encourage students to apply for their student visa as soon as they possibly can. We're just mindful that when the borders open to those eligible visa holders on the 15th, there is going to be an increased load of visas to be processed. So it's our best advice is for you to apply as soon as you can to avoid any delays and to sort of help you ensure that you can be here in time for commencement in 2022. And the last step is to ensure that you are fully vaccinated for COVID-19 with one of the TGA approved vaccines. In the next two slides, I will go through exactly which of the vaccines are currently recognised and what sort of documentation you'll require for that. So you can see on screen now a list of the approved vaccines from the Australian Therapeutic Goods Administration. You'll need to have a full schedule of those. So for most of the vaccines, that's 2 doses, but just check those requirements on the TGA website that's at the bottom of the screen now. If you have been vaccinated with a vaccine that isn't listed here, again, refer to the TGA website. That is constantly being updated and they're constantly reviewing new options and adding them to the list. So just keep referring back there for further information. So you'll need to have proof of your COVID-19 vaccination. So if you're currently in Australia, so there may be a number of students that are offer holders that are here onshore and you've been vaccinated here, you have the International COVID-19 Vaccination Certificate. But for the vast majority of you, you'll require a foreign vaccination certificate that meets all the requirements that have been outlined by the Australian Passport Office website. So for most, it will need to be written in English, and if not, it will require a certified translation with it. It's really important that you have that before you leave and that you keep that proof of vaccination on you throughout your travels across to Australia. Again, there's a helpful link at the bottom of the page there for further information on that. So the Department of Home Affairs have created a very thorough and helpful pre-departure checklist for you to refer to. So have a look at this, keep an eye on the website too to see if anything changes, but the most important thing is checking that you're exempt from the travel restrictions and check about the quarantine requirements for you, for where you're coming from and where you're going to. Obtain your proof of vaccination certificate and make sure that it meets those requirements that we mentioned before. You'll also need to complete an Australian travel declaration at least 72 hours before your flight, as well as undertake a COVID test within the 72 hours before your flight and have that negative result before you board your flight. So just as you come to the airport and you would usually present your passport, your visa and your boarding pass, these other documents will be required to be cited when you go to board your flight. They'll also be asking for those when you arrive as well, so keep them handy. All right, so finally, when you arrive here in Australia, you will be required to have a COVID-19 test, a PCR test, the nose and throat swab, and self-isolate in your accommodation or your place of residence for at least 72 hours. So this is the current advice for those that are arriving after the 15th of December. Please make a point of, before you book your travel, checking back at this website, and then also before you depart, checking back to this website so that you know that you're meeting all of the current requirements before you book your travel or depart your home country. Here are some links and resources that will be helpful for gathering this information. For many of you, speaking with your agent is a great resource. They are very much across all the latest advice and can help you navigate all this information, but also checking back at these government websites. They have the most relevant and up-to-date info for you. So just quickly, a little bit about studying at UOW in 2022. So over the past 2 years, we've developed a whole range of new skills and experiences in being able to flexibly deliver our courses. However, heading into next year, we're planning to have as many face-to-face learning experiences on campus as possible, staying within the public health requirements. So you'll find if you are coming to study here, most of your classes will be face-to-face. The exception to that is any lectures that would usually have 100 or plus students in them are likely to be moved online, just so that we can observe those physical distancing requirements to keep our students and our staff safe. But you will get to study face-to-face. What's been great about this experience is that a lot of our subjects and our courses have been able to be delivered flexibly, and so heading into the years ahead, we have the options of being able to do that. So for any students that are unable to attend or get to Australia in time for the commencement of their course, we have the flexibility to be able to offer online learning for you, and we'll be able to work with you to figure out which subjects are appropriate for you to take, so that you can stay on track with your study, irrespective of whether you can be here on time or if you need to commence from home. Just keep in touch with the university as your situation changes, and we'll work with you to find a suitable solution. Campus life at UOW is pretty spectacular. We have a really beautiful campus. Beautiful natural green at the foothill of Mount Kira. We have a huge range of clubs and societies that have already been mentioned that are a wonderful way to get involved in student life. It's a great way to meet students, not just from your course, but you can be studying engineering and join the drama club or the law society. If you have interest areas outside of those areas, you can join whatever club that you would like. There's sporting clubs that you can be involved in too, if that's to your liking. There's a huge range of cafes and restaurants on campus. Our uni bar hosts a whole range of different live events, music acts, and different fun activities that you can be involved in. We have markets every fortnight on campus. Amazing gym facilities, Olympic-sized swimming pool, a huge array of volunteering opportunities if you want to get that experience and also meet others from different areas. Our library is pretty incredible, and Career Central is a really, really important resource for our students in developing their skills and their understanding and mapping out their future. So definitely worthwhile making use of that during your time with us. Wollongong itself is a beautiful, beautiful city on the coast. We're so lucky to be sort of bordered by pristine beaches to one side and then surrounded by national parks on all other sides. So if you enjoy nature and you're interested in exploring the Australian landscape, you'll have plenty of opportunities being here in Wollongong, but also have access to the bright light cities of Sydney, a really short train ride up north just to visit the city and make use of the things that are happening up there. We have beautiful weather here. It's a little bit rainy at the moment, but usually we have an average daily temperature of 22 degrees, and our average summer temperature is a really nice 27 degrees, not too humid, not too hot. It's wonderful. So we love it here. We really look forward to welcoming you here to our campus and to our city, and to have you call it home for the time that you have here with us. Orientation is a huge part of kicking off your academic experience with us. There are a number of academic sessions that help you get orientated with what is expected of you in your course of study, where to find the different relevant services that you need on campus. But we also have a lot of fun that happens around that as well, that sort of highlights the culture and community that we have here at the University of Wollongong. Next year, we'll be having a week-long event called Campus Fest, which is all about bringing our students together and getting them to celebrate being able to come back on campus and everything that we have on offer. It'll include music acts, different arts, markets, things that you can get involved in throughout that week, in addition to your usual orientation. If you do end up studying online, commencing online with us next year, there will be a full suite of orientation activities for you as well that will be delivered online, so you'll be aware and be all set up, ready to go for your study, no matter which way you end up taking it. And lastly, just a little bit of information about UW student accommodation. UW is lucky enough to have a number of residences available for our students to live on. It's a convenient, safe and affordable option for students to live close to the campus and have an immediate community that they're a part of, and have all the support services that come with living at UW accommodation. There are options to live down by the beach and closer to Wollongong City, or to be quite right on campus, be walking distance from your lecture theatres and your classes. It's completely up to you. What I would recommend though, is if you are interested in living on UW accommodation, is to get your application in as soon as you can. The rooms are filling up fast for next year. So put your application in, you'll get to put preferences in of what you would like or where you would like to live, and then we'll work with you to find the most suitable option. There are single rooms, there are family apartments, there's a whole range of different options for you to choose. So head to the website and have a look at what each site offers and the different things that are available to find the best fit for you. All right, just quickly, we've got some enrolment steps. So I spoke before, once you've accepted your UW offer, paid your deposit and you'll get your confirmation enrolment, you can then move on to the next step of being able to apply for your visa. You'll then be sent a link to fill out an enrolment registration form, letting us know that you're ready to commence enrolment. The next step is to actually enroll online, where we'll send you all the instructions of what you need to do and how you actually enroll in your subjects, and then how to timetable everything. And once you've got all of those steps set up, you'll be able to move forward and heading into orientation and then commencing classes, and the fun really begins. So here are just some important dates for you to be aware of. All of the communications that we send to you between now and then will reference these dates and give you links to these pages so that you're across all this information. Just some general links there as well. These will be included in your follow-up email. And I think that brings me to the end of my section of this presentation, and we might open up to Q&A now. So if you've got any questions that remain after our presentation, anything more that you would like to know, if you have any questions of the staff that are here today, please pop them in the Q&A and we will start to answer those for you now. Okay. Okay, I've got a great question here, and I'll open it up to the panel, whoever wants to answer it. What is the regular class timing for a master's students, i.e. how many hours a day during the week? What can they typically expect in terms of their study load?
Thank you, Emily. I was just finished typing answer to those questions, but this is something common questions every student would like to know. Generally, we advise 3 to 4 hours on-campus presence per subject per week. So that's the requirement. So normally the students would ask to enroll in 3 to 4 subjects to count as a full-time student. So 20 hours minimum is required on-campus presence to attend the classes and tutorials and for the group work or projects. And the remaining 20 hours they would spend with their group to do the assignments, or they spend in the library to study for the subjects. This is how the Australian education system is designed, so that students can have both academic life and as well as some work life to gain the work exposure while studying in Australia.
Thank you, Saren. Wonderful. Okay, a great question here. Can I book my ticket to Australia today? And is it confirmed that borders will open on the 15th of December? So I think I can answer this one. The current advice is that the borders are opening on the 15th of December, and you can book your ticket whenever you are ready. Again, this advice is from the government and it is subject to change, but at the moment, that is the current stance, is that they will open on the 15th of December. Did you want to add anything to that, Saren?
No, I mean, that's perfectly. We were all waiting for that. All I would recommend is before you book an airline ticket, please check with your airlines or your travel agent about the cancellation policy or the travel date change policy. Just in case with a new variant, if things goes in a different way, at least you should have a flexible ticket option to rebook your ticket at later date.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, I'm just having a little read through to find.
Yeah, there's a good question from Sandra asking, will the university pickup service from airport pickup? And the answer is yes. Whether you're staying on campus or off campus, we do have a free airport pickup service. So once you book your flight, go to UOW accommodation online webpage. There's a link to book your airport pickup service, and you should do those booking at least 72 hours prior to your flight arrival date and time, so that you will get the confirmation from the accommodation team about the airport pickup service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
They're rolling in now. Okay. There's one here that might be helpful to answer. What documents, it keeps moving for me, what documents do I have to bring to Australia in order to get in and make my enrolment at the orientation day? So what sort of documents do we need to bring along? So the ones that we sort of mentioned, having that visa, having your proof of vaccination, having that Australian travel declaration, having that negative COVID test that you received before you left, and then you'll need to also have that negative COVID test after your arrival as well.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
So quite a few steps. There is a great checklist that you can get from the website, so that you can work your way through it and know that you've got all the steps.
That's true.
Complete.
And there's one question from Febini asking, on my offer, it's mentioned as 24 credit points. Can I speed up my total time? That means the student is asking that increased study load. Generally, we advise students to stick to the normal study load, at least in the first session. And if they really do well in the first session, they can discuss the option with the course coordinator or with the academic program director to work around the options of to have increased study load up to 5 subjects. So that will be assessed and approved on a case-by-case basis.
Wonderful. I have another question in here. If I go to UOW in February, is it mandatory for quarantine? And if so, how many days? I'm fully vaccinated. So at the moment, you're still required to quarantine for 72 hours. This advice may change but by February. That's why we keep sort of reiterating to make sure that you're checking back on the advice. As we get closer to February, things may change. So just keep an eye on that advice. But at present, the advice is that it's 72 hours at you quarantine at your place of residence. So it's not hotel quarantine. You can do that either at our accommodation or wherever it is that you your place of residence once you arrive.
Good.
All right. Okay. Very, very good question here about whether the university admin closes for Christmas holiday. For processing and being able to pay fees. So the university does close down between the 23rd of December through till, I think we reopen on the 11th, Monday the 11th of January, if I've got my dates correct. So there is minimal staff on campus at that time. So I would strongly recommend that you get in touch with our fees department and get that if you have fees to pay, get that done in the next week or so, just so that it's taken care of before we break for Christmas.
That's correct. Yeah. Thank you. And there's a question asking that the student has received a PhD scholarship. They're worried about what if the new variant emerges and if the border remains closed, will I lose the scholarship? The answer is no. Irrespective of the COVID situation, if you are being granted a scholarship, that will remain as it is. It won't get affected because of the COVID. Only the travel movement may get affected of this new variant, but not your studies or your scholarship options.
Thank you, Saren.
Thank you.
There's another question in here, which is a great one. Is there any transport facilities at UOW? And I think this was mentioned earlier by Christian, is the free bus shuttle that we have. It's such a valuable resource that we have on campus. There are free buses that will take you from the campus. It does a loop around Wollongong City and surrounds, and it goes past the different accommodation options that we have here. So if you are living on campus, you have free transport to get you from your residence to the campus and to Wollongong City, so that you can make your way around, do shopping, visit the beach, whatever activities that you like to do. There's free transport. There's also a free shuttle that runs between the university and the train station. So the train station that can take you either north or south to any of the suburbs. So there are a lot of ways to get around, and those buses are completely subsidised, so you don't have to pay to travel on them. All right. I've got a course question here. Do we have any internship opportunities in the Masters of Computer Science? Is there anyone that
I can probably answer that one. We'll give an answer at least. That the Master of Computer Science, there's not a compulsory internship requirement for the degree program. However, the students are required to complete a professional project in their second year of their masters, and often those professional projects, they may actually be also linked to an industry need or an industry project that the supervisor is working on. So indirectly, there's a chance to have some industry experience through the project. If the student also is certainly very welcome to work with the career service to also identify opportunities in their summer session. So the summer session is about 3 months break between the 2 semesters. So there's a chance there also for students to pursue those types of opportunities then.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Wonderful. This is a good question, Sarah. Is it advisable for a student to apply and pay for a student accommodation before getting a valid student visa? And in the case where the visa application takes a long period or gets declined, will they be refunded?
Generally, the UOW accommodation as a flexible option. It is highly recommended to apply and pay the fees to secure a place in the accommodation. in an unlikely event of if in some reason if you receive a negative visa outcome, then you can apply for the full refund. But if you get a visa and whenever you reach Australia, you can utilize those accommodation options.
Thank you.
Yeah, and there's a question asking, is it advisable to obtain a university overseas students health cover? The options are available to obtain a BUPA health cover through the university, or if you wish to obtain a private separately by yourselves, you can do so. But keep in mind that your overseas student health cover will be activated the day you arrive in Australia. Until then, it won't be activated. But to obtain a COE for the visa purposes, you might have to purchase the overseas health cover right now. But whatever the money you paid, the cycle time starts when you arrive in Australia.
Wonderful. Okay, so I've got a question here about the student that has applied for a HDR scholarship at UOW doesn't have an outcome yet. Is there a way they can find out whether that's still being processed, or what is the sort of steps with that?
From my understanding, generally the HDR outcome, the HDR scholarship outcome will be announced by 2nd or 3rd week of December. So they are nearing the time. Is there anything you would like to add, Christian, about the HDR scholarship outcome?
I don't think there's much I can add to that. I think that's right. We're just waiting. I don't know if Professor Gersel's got any other information.
I may add 1 or 2 sentences. I know the results are being released to the students. I had a couple of students. I think the results are being sent to the candidates.
Okay, that's good.
I think it was sent 3 days ago. They started sending. Maybe it's about to be sent. They are sending slowly. There are too many students from A to Z, according to their surname. So maybe by tomorrow, maybe early next week, all the applicants will receive a response.
Now, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
It can take some time.
Talking about the HDR scholarship, Gersel, there's a question from the student asking, if they start the PhD program in the home country, how can they receive the scholarship amount credited? For example, if they have been awarded a living allowance, will they be able to receive that even if they start the PhD from the home country?
But in order to get the scholarship from us, they need to enroll with us. So if they are not our students, I don't think we can offer any scholarships.
Sorry, they said if they cannot travel, but they enroll online from the home country, they start the PhD program in February.
Yeah, I got you. I think previously there was a decision that we were paying them, the existing ones, especially the ones who went to their home countries but couldn't return. We were paying them, of course. For the new students, I think university's decision is that they should come to Australia in order to scholarship to be paid to their accounts. I don't think the living expenses can be paid them if they are not in Australia. Unfortunately, that's the decision being made.
Yeah, I could add, I think that the complication was if you don't have an Australian bank account. I think that was one of the difficulties with being able to pay the scholarship.
But let's be optimistic that borders are opening. Situation is getting better. I'm optimistic that early next year, if they get their visa, if they get their flights, hopefully we will have them here, and we are already very well prepared to welcome them and to accommodate their needs and so that they can make a solid start to their PhD study.
That's good.
Wonderful. I have another question that's in here, this time asking about internship opportunities, I guess in general, working opportunities within the civil engineering course. So, and if it is worked into the actual program, is there a particular semester in which you undertake that internship opportunity?
If nobody else, I can add a couple of sentences again. This is for a master degree. As Christian answered previously, I think in only one subject, there is a professional experience subject in our master program. In there, there is a scope to work with industry, and that's a bit competitive process, so there is an opportunity there. Further, our faculty has a strategic plan for 2022 to make agreements with various industries to guarantee, to reserve internship for UOW specific students doing undergraduate and postgraduate degrees. So we believe next year there will be some guaranteed reserve places for all our students. It will be based on normal application process. We will make those agreements and saying this company needs this many places. It's up to that company's, that industry's selection criteria. So I can say likely there will be some guaranteed or reserved places for our students next year.
Thank you, Gesell. Wonderful. I'm just going to ask Jeffy to pop on. There's a question that's come in to the Q&A and that I think you might be helpful in answering. And it's a really valid one. So what happens if a student arrives in Australia and has their COVID-19 test and they test positive after landing? What's the process around that?
All right. Okay. So if you are tested positive, you will be contacted by the Department of Health over here, and then there is very specific quarantine rules that you will have to follow. So as soon as if you do come across that situation and you even have some symptoms of showing some symptoms of COVID, you should just let us try to get yourself tested. The testing facilities are free, so you don't have to get pay for these tests. So when you arrive here, you will notice that you don't have to pay for these tests and they're available for you. Is there anything specific, Emily, that?
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Jeffy. And that advice, I guess, applies for your duration of your stay with us, is that if you do show those symptoms, get you tested. And if you do have a positive result, our public health department will get in contact with you and tell you exactly what you need to do for your circumstances, and the university will also support you and help you, particularly if you're on student accommodation. They'll facilitate everything so that you can adhere to those requirements and stay safe during your stay with us. So
absolutely. Emily, just if I could add one more thing to that, is that UOW understands the situation of these students, and that's why when they're required to isolate for 72 hours, UOW is providing that facility at a very discounted rate. So do not feel that the burden of self-isolating is on you itself. You can get in touch with us and then we can help you with that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. So there's a question from a student asking how different is an HDR scholarship to a research funding from potential supervisor?
Well, I can probably give an answer to that one. So if I understand the question, I think what I can say is the HDR scholarship is a standard rate, whether that's paid from university directly or whether the scholarship stipend comes from a supervisor's research project, it will be at the same standard rate that's advertised. So that's probably the main thing, if I understand the question correctly, that is.
Yeah, thank you, Christian.
Wonderful. Everyone in the background is answering these questions very quickly. It's they're disappearing right before my eyes. There was a question, I guess I'll reiterate that from someone asking about where there's mandated testing. Do we have to pay for those? Testing here in Australia is free. So there's lots of testing sites around Wollongong and around the area that you can access. Wollongong Hospital is up the road where you can get that done, but there's a lot of other testing sites that you can access, and it's completely free. So you don't need to pay for those. So definitely worthwhile getting the test. one when you're instructed to, but also if you're even slightly concerned that you're showing some symptoms. Okay. Okay, great question here. The Masters of Computer Science is accredited until 2021. Is there any plans to extending that accreditation?
I can probably answer that. Yes, there is. That is being finalised as we speak. So we're just going through the final process. It's a standard process every 5 years. We have to renew that accreditation. They don't go, that doesn't last forever. So we are just working through that so that it'll be updated as soon as on the website, as soon as that's finalised.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay. Just ticking on the time. Okay. There is a question in here. Can we join the spring session instead of the autumn for my PhD, seeing, depending on the pandemic and restrictions that are happening? Is that a possibility to delay the start?
Yes, you can, but however, you can apply for a deferral for a maximum of 12 months. But however, in your case, we recommend to email us at Future Students. So we might be able to help you in your specific case, because there is a certain amount of deferral some students might not be able to exceed if they have received the deferral limit. So just keep that in mind before you do that, but reach
Wonderful.
out to us.
And also, if I can add one sentence to Jeffrey's point, very good point he made. Also, get in communication with their supervisor, get their permission as well, whether the project may allow for that deferral as well. I think it's important to keep the supervisors to get their support and view as well before making those other contacts.
Absolutely, that's a really good point. So internships are a hot topic at the moment. There's another one asking about internship options for telecommunications graduates. And I imagine that the advice is the same, that there is opportunities, and if you're really keen, it's really worthwhile getting in touch with our careers central unit here at the university, because they will be able to connect you with opportunities outside of just the usual things that are available. They could be industry connections that they have and know of, and different opportunities that you can apply for and be a part of during your time here with us at UOW, as an addition to the course requirements too.
Absolutely. If I could add one more thing to that, we do have a dedicated career center, and what most students might find once they arrive in Australia is that things are done very differently here. There are things like selection criterias, which are probably not followed in other countries. And so we have consultation, we have workshops that are available with Career Central. So before you start inquiring about that, just also make use of these resources that are available for free for all of the students once you enroll. And also we have a jobs listing as well, for which employers from around the region let us know, and we advertise these jobs also within. So there is support, and there is a very dedicated service that we do offer. And my advice would just be, most students don't take advantage of these, and that's what my recommendation would be. Don't never miss these workshops. Make yourself available for them, right? But they're very useful.
Definitely. Resume writing, practicing interviews, those sorts of things. It's completely free service, and it's so valuable in getting that practice and getting the skills that you need to give yourself the best chance of securing those internship opportunities, because they are competitive, but we have a lot of support here to help you get ready for those. I'm mindful of time, and we've run over a little bit. I can see that most of the answers that are being have been typed in. So I might just ask this one. So if you could please repeat about the food arrangement for the students during quarantine, will it be self-catered?
Absolutely. I did miss that. It's actually a good point that you mentioned that. So when I mentioned that for the 72 hours that UOW would be providing accommodation for self-quarantine, that does include food. And the price of that is, sorry.
That's right. You have all the answers. It's great.
So let me just have a quick look here. And the price of that is $315, which includes 3 nights of accommodation and food included. And if you really look at the price, it's a very good deal. And also there is, we're familiar with isolation units, so we understand, we take that very seriously, and you'll find yourself comfortable there as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, I can see that there are some answers that are being typed in here, so I'm going to just let that be wrapped up for now. If there's any unanswered questions that are sitting in there when we finish for this evening, we will download a report of those and we'll be able to get in contact with you with some answers to those questions as well. I want to thank our faculty experts that joined us today for sharing their insights and helping to answer a lot of these wonderful questions that the students have had. Thank you to all of our, to Jeffy, to Jin, to Rachel, Tom, Ro and Kayleen, who are in the background helping answer questions as well. It's wonderful to have you online. Thank you to everyone that joined us this evening. I hope this was helpful and helped answer a lot of the questions that you might have. I'm sure, no doubt, there will be more going forward. Please reach out to our Future Students team if you have any questions in the next weeks and months heading into next year. We're really, really excited to be able to welcome our international students back on campus. Please reach out to us anytime if you have any questions. Until then, please stay safe. Enjoy the process, getting excited, and we really look forward to welcoming you to UOW in 2022. Thanks, everyone.